pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call this meeting of the Salem School Board of Trustees, the special meeting, to order. Verified there's a quorum. The agenda today is, and thank you for Mr. Suvak for coming in and braving the weather. With the open door policy, sometimes it makes it a little difficult to cancel meetings, so everybody was good with it, so we went ahead and trudged forward. So, the agenda today is discussion of facilities planning and recommendations for facility projects.
We have a recommendation to award a contract for the Salem High School football field. The school district sought and received quotes from 4 vendors to convert the existing football field to a turf field. From information provided and meetings with 4 vendors, along with 3 school board members, as well as the director of athletics and central office administrators, the recommendation is before the school board to award a contract to Hellas for $1,471,413 to convert the Salem High School football field from natural grass to a turf surface. So recommend approval. Then we have one for a press box after that if the board approves.
Do you want to do them all individually?
We can do them individually, or it'd
Okay.
probably be better.
First of all, I'd like to speak a little bit about the turf just before we get started, before we ask for a motion on that. One of the biggest reasons are we're shelling out tons of money every year to the football field. We're unable to have band competitions. We're looking at, obviously, the band competitions come back into play because they were highly attended back when we had the band competitions. Soccer field, going and doing soccer, making soccer more visible. And it just seems to be a bottomless pit where we're continuing to spend money on the football field. And this is one avenue to do to make that to where we can kind of eliminate some things that are pouring out of the operations fund and actually use some of that money and put our resources in other places to help benefit us. So that's kind of the explanation. Would anybody else like to add anything in regards to that?
There's no community discussion, but I'd like to make a comment.
Sure, go ahead.
Do I need to grab these things?
No, you're fine.
Is it okay if I go live with this?
Pardon?
Go ahead.
I understand what you're saying. At the same time, I kind of reflect back on my teenage years, which has been a long time ago. But my father taught me to be fiscally responsible. He taught me to make sure that I could afford to pay for my needs before I even considered my wants. Now, I'm really concerned, knowing a little bit about the financial condition of our school system, I'm a little bit concerned about making almost a $1.5 million commitment for the football field. I also understand that there's annual or periodic maintenance requirements on the field, and I don't know what those have cost or would cost. But, you know, that's a huge commitment. And I tried to follow my father's advice about being sure I could take care of my needs before I even consider my wants in my personal life and in business. And I think that applies to our school system here. Now, I want to say, because a few meetings ago, Hank Whedon was talking about this, and I respect Hank. I think Hank's was a really good basketball coach and a really good athletic director. So my feelings on this matter have nothing to do with Hank or with that. I'm concerned about the huge cost. And then beyond that, I still read where the jury seems to be out on the injuries on an artificial turf field compared to a grass field. It looks like the injuries are more frequent and more severe on an artificial turf. Beyond that, there's also discussion, there's also information that says that, and some of, and I don't know all the different materials that are used, but some of these artificial turf fields actually release fumes, let's call it, that contain carcinogens. So, you know, as I see it right now, considering the financial condition, the cost of this project, and that, at least in my mind, the jury's still out on whether it makes sense, I'm very concerned about the board moving ahead with this big project. I would think that it would be more prudent to, okay, let's continue to invest some in maintenance. Let's go a couple years, let's try to get healthier, let's see what's going on with the injuries and the other issues before we make a decision. But that's my feeling on the matter, so thank you for listening.
From just to answer some of your questions, from a financial standpoint, I feel like obviously Dr. Thurston is very frugal. I'm frugal, and other members of the board are frugal as well. I do feel like we are in a good position. One of the reasons why we have to do something right now, at times the football field is unsafe for people to be on, period. We have to stay off of it multiple times. We've got something we can't even get on multiple times. So we were going to have to do something in the field anyway. Even if we were to resurface it in grass or something like that, we're looking at a cost from anywhere, and we didn't get exact quotes on it, but anywhere from $300,000 to $500,000 on that. So we're looking at an initial investment of a large amount of money. And then Rodney has talked to Hank on several occasions about the amount of money that we're spending on it on a yearly basis, just with paint, upkeep, labor, mowing, things like that. And that's going to eliminate a lot of that cost. If I didn't feel like this was the right decision, I wouldn't get behind it at all. But we've done extensive research on it. As far as the injuries, what you're seeing injuries that's publicized dramatically are going to be at the NFL level. Obviously, the NFL is going to be a much quicker, faster, stronger athlete, so that's where you're seeing more injuries. If you trickle back down to college, you're seeing less and less. And Rodney has talked. Who'd you talk to about the injuries at the high school level?
So they've done a bunch of studies, and this is a company out of Texas. They've done Dallas. They've done Dallas. They're doing IU's now. They've done UK. They've done Texas.
Colts practice
Lucas Oil as well. So it's all based on VMAX, and you can jump into Ray. There's a pad underneath there that takes away some of that. So a lot of these have been implemented without putting the pad underneath of them. This one won't. This one will have the pad. It'll have a different type of turf that nobody around us has. The University of Kentucky has. Lucas Oil will have. You want to add to that?
I don't know if I can add anything to that.
It's got an 8-year warranty. So the upkeep will be for 8 years. They look to get about 15 years out of it. After that, all you're replacing is the turf. You don't have to replace all the groundwork. So then it would be in the same ballpark as redoing a grass field after that first investment. Yeah, the pad's got a 25-year warranty on it. Yeah, we've looked at all that, Bill, and if you compare it to a good grass field, the reason schools are going away from us because they can't afford to upkeep a good grass field. It is the main reason. So.
Okay. Well, I mean that's good to hear, and
the initial input is large, but after that, and we've looked at other fields. This company has primarily done professional and college stuff. They do a ton of stuff in Texas. They have their own crews, so they don't go and sub everything out. They show up and they do the work. They've done it everywhere, all over the United States. I think they said they've done 5,000 fields, somewhere in the ballpark of 5,000 fields.
They said
Yeah.
if we had any concerns, the 24 hours someone would be up here
to do what?
to
Maintenance.
check maintenance, anything.
Oh,
And there's a safety check they do every year. It's called, I think it's a VMAX, and that's where they test and the drop and the speed. A lot of the biggest field that's drawn all the attention is in New York with the Jets, and a lot because they play in frozen weather. So then it's cold and it doesn't have that give. If we had the money to invest $300,000 to $500,000 in a perfectly grass field, and then we could upkeep it, I think you're going to end up spending more money over time from the research that we've done. But on top of that, what Hank talks about is maintenance, is not having enough people to upkeep all these fields to keep them safe. So,
And the maintenance on this would be taken care of by the contractor, is that what I understand?
so there's a, it's kind of like a carpet deal that comes as part of that program that we buy, that you pull behind a tractor that resurfaces it or refreshes the stuff that's in there. You talked about the rubberized stuff that's in there. They talked about that as well. That that's not an issue per their conversation about the carcinogens.
Right.
They talked about how they had done something with those.
They tested some way for, like softness, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That's not the proper word.
Yeah.
They do that. So.
And this pad won't move like the other would move, the older,
Right.
yeah, so it'll stay solid, so it won't, like it'll give, but it won't move like, so the injuries, it would be less injuries.
It's like anything. Technology just came a long way with it, and with the different, because 2 of the 4 had fields that have been done around here, correct, Dr. Jason? Is that correct?
Yes.
So we went and looked at those different fields as well. Hank went and looked at them. We've had other people go and look at them, and just by looking at, they all have flaws. Some look better than others. Some they feel differently. And at the end of the day, with the 4 people, we feel like this is the group that's putting out, the best product. And it turned out, fortunately, that they were the cheaper of the bids as well. So, but we feel like this is and the reason why I feel like they're a little cheaper than maybe what they would be is because they're looking to get into this market and they're looking at doing high schools. So we're going to be kind of the showpiece. So I feel like that's kind of what we've got to break on the money as well.
And the other groups that we talked to, they subbed out everything. They own the whole show. They go from one spot to the next, and as a business owner, that's probably going to be better quality as far as showing up. They will also be the same group that we use to do the tennis courts, because they came in with the best quote on tennis courts. But as far as the football field, they weren't the best quote. But then they came back, and Hank worked with them and talked to them because they really want a high school field in southern Indiana. So we're lucky enough to be that first one.
So then I guess it just comes down to, can the school afford to do it? And I understand that yearly, and I'm sure you've looked at all that, so.
Would you like to add anything to that?
Bill,
I hate to put you on the spot.
the financial health of the school district is predicated by the education fund and the operations fund. And the debt service fund is paying for this out of the bond issue.
Right.
So the education fund and the operations fund, other than just minor, small maintenance items on a day-to-day basis, that's the only impact against those funds that determine the day-to-day health of the school district.
Okay. Well,
And all the maintenance that's being done is paid out of operations fund as well. So all the,
Sure.
right?
Right, but we won't have much with this because of
Right, but currently,
yeah. Right. Oh, and yes, you're right. Exactly. Currently, all the maintenance that Hank spoke to is being paid out of the operations fund, so it'll be some relief.
Yeah, that
From
brings
yeah.
up a great point. So when we talked about budgeting for this, we're not approving all these at one time. We're going to do one as Dr. Thurston walks us through, so that we are fiscally responsible and get the ones first. But out of all these projects, if you're looking at it from a business aspect, that field's the one we keep dumping money into. So how do we stop output? We fix that, and then we stop that output of seeding, watering, extra maintenance to mow it, all that stuff. So you're going to save some money. These other projects we're going to do, we're not putting annual money into, like the tennis courts, other than to seal them, playground at the elementary, other than put new mulch or whatnot. So we're going to stop some money that we're spending with redoing that football field. Does that make sense?
yeah, it does make sense. Now, one last question, and then I'll leave it alone. But as you've done your research, where there are artificial turf fields and have been for a time, have there been vandalism issues? I guess that's one thing I'd be concerned about.
As far as like painting them
Or whatever, somebody might do vandalism, or, I mean, I don't want to give anybody ideas. But
Right. That's a good point. That's a good point.
answer all this because Ray's been in on this as well, and me all the way back to 3 or 4 years ago. Me and him were at Southridge. We've talked to other high schools that put the money in, and the one thing they keep talking about is the only time that football field gets used, and we put $30,000 to $50,000 a year into that field, is on middle school football nights and Friday nights. When we do this, you can drive down to Floyd Central and see Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday, those lights are on, everybody will be able to use it. So field time is going to go up. Band's going to be able to bring back their invitational. So the issue other than vandalism would be it's going to get used a lot. So how's it going to hold up to being used a lot? And that's what we talked about with our vendor. And they make their own turf, so they're different than this other group. I'm excited because if you'd have saw what they showed us, it looks like real grass. It doesn't look like what Brownstown and North Harrison had. It's really nice, and we're going to utilize it a lot, whether it's soccer with our soccer field, or baseball, softball out there throwing, speed and agility. I went past Floyd the other night. They had something going on like every quarter, and it was a different sport. So the usage is going to go up tremendously. Now, if we were just spending that money for still to only use for middle school and Friday nights on football, probably doesn't make sense. But if we get the invitational back, if we utilize it with gym and PE, then it makes sense.
We have an ongoing focus too to upgrade our camera system around the grounds, and we have several 180-degree internet cameras right now that have been replaced that give us a much clearer, better view, and we'll have a focus on this area too with cameras. But Rodney's point is it will be utilized more and more frequently, but with upgraded security cameras, we hope to really secure it as well.
And they're going to fix the pits for long jump will be moved over to here, high jump and stuff. So yeah, they're going to redo that as well.
But that whole area would be artificial.
It will all.
Everything inside the track.
Everything inside the track. Yep.
And so when we had the two other meetings when we were talking about facilities, it was brought to my attention, one person that was in the audience didn't even know we had a soccer team. And that's frustrating because soccer is one of the things that we have that others around us don't. So, and I know it's some schedule, and I talked to Tom, about the differences, how the ball rolls and differences like that. And it's for them, it's not necessarily for or against, it's about getting the time on there because the surface play is different. But, to me, if I was a soccer player, instead of being tucked in the corner where nobody knew where I was at, you can play under the lights now, right in the center of our campus where people can see you. So, that was a big factor for me as well.
I don't want to belabor this, but everything that Rodney covered omitted another benefit, which is when I started, in 2001, I was here on the front end of a youth program, and in 2007 on the front end of a high school program. And I coached for 19 years. And the early days of my high school coaching career, I was in communications with Randy Johnson about getting a turf, a Bermuda grass turf on that field. I was doing research, I was calling people, I was putting a lot of time into it because I said, unlike what we play on today is the equivalent, I've told Hank, of playing basketball on a gravel lot. Because unlike football, where you're running across turf, the ground surface is the medium of transfer. In basketball, it bounces and you're passing through the air mostly, and you're shooting through the air. That's like playing in the wind in basketball, because you can make a perfect pass and it hits a clump of grass. And so there are grasses that are adaptive to that, and we would have been one of the first ones. And I'm pricing it out. I'm trying to raise private funds. Randy wanted to wait and see how someone else, he had another school. I'm like, I've been down to North Harrison. They've got it. We'd be the second team in the conference to have a nice field. Today, I think we're the only team in the area that, maybe Austin. I've not been to Austin's field. We're the only team that doesn't play on turf or Bermuda grass. For us to convert, this isn't my first choice, but it's an alternative that makes sense, where players can actually develop and play on a real soccer field. as opposed to practicing basketball on a gravel court. If we did that field, the existing soccer field in a Bermuda grass field, we level it, crown it, level it, put the initial cost wouldn't be the problem. It's the continual maintenance, mowing twice a week with a specialized greenskeeper type mower, and the treatment, the regular treatment for weeds and stuff. Because once again, the soccer ball rolls across the field. You watch soccer on TV, come watch soccer at Salem High School. Someone passes a ground pass and the ball rolls straight at Salem. Right before it gets there, it bounces up and hits you in the chest, and nothing interfered other than a grass clump kind of thing. And so it's like, this will be the first time that we'll have a field that we can play on where the ball actually, where we're not playing basketball on a gravel court. And
Hasn't there been several injuries as well?
There has, but I was going to say that before. I'm getting older and I forget everything if I don't say it right now. But so I've talked to him. We've done a ton of research on this, and we want to make sure it's right. And he was about Bermuda, and we researched Bermuda. And there are high schools that have Bermuda, but you're still going to have the same usage. As soon as it turns yellow, if you know anything about grass, or it becomes dormant, you're supposed to stay off of, or you're going to have to reseed it until it comes back green again. So our usage is the same. We're going to spend a bunch of money. The turf that we got, and Ray, you can jump in anytime. The old turf, it broke away, and I wish we had this. I wish we brought it in here. You were in this meeting too.
And it bent.
And it broke away and bent. This upgraded that we got is almost as good as, and they talked about soccer, is the speed of the ball is almost equal. And it doesn't break away for injuries purposes. Do you want to?
Yes, they just talked about the slip grass does bend, and that's where you're seeing a lot of those lower extremity injuries with the ankles. And that's where most of the injuries are coming from too, that they've done research on. So
yeah.
I think that was
and
a
a
big
lot.
point.
Yeah, most of them they don't implement with the pad under there. So that's why it's costing us a little bit more. So we want to do the pad, which is 25-year warranty, and then we want to upgrade to this same turf that the major colleges have on to prevent injury, and it also the speed of the ball, the VMAX, all that safety stuff is addressed with that.
Also, too, we're thinking to do some cleaning up of our track.
Yes, so we're going to recondition the track as well.
And that's part of this same service?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's more of a pressure washing type of situation.
Just call it cleaning track somewhere. I'm not sure
cleansing is what they talk about with this.
Bring it back to life.
Everything will look shiny and pretty then?
Yeah. And when they talk about the VMAX, what that basically means is, so if you came out here and you ran on, the easiest way to talk about it is if you ran on concrete, you'd be pretty fast. If you tried to run on a layer of sand on top of that concrete, you would slow down, right? So this turf without the pad and without the upgraded turf feels like it's got that sand on top of it. The way that we're purchasing it, it doesn't. So the speed's going to be faster, the ball's going to roll better, injuries should be better. Now, we may go out there and have 15 turned ankles the first time, but this appears to be the safest, best way to do it. And everybody can use it.
Also, to get back to these other questions, as far as someone coming in and doing damage to the field and tearing stuff up down there, our insurance, I'm sure, that's what we got it for.
Yeah.
And you can't guarantee that that's not going to happen to one of the buildings or whatever. So that's why we have insurance, and hopefully it's not going to happen. But
Yeah, I guess it's, like I said, I don't want to give people ideas on how they could vandalize the field, but if it's cut, I guess that can be repaired. That's a repairable injury to the field.
Yep.
Okay. Well, let me just say one last thing. I don't always leave this meeting feeling better than when I came in, but I do appreciate you taking the time to listen to me and then to respond. And it sounds like there has been a lot of research done, and that's a good thing. I just have one last question. You talked about soccer, and I played football. Back when I was growing up, soccer wasn't a thing at all.
Right.
But, so, this field will also be marked for
right.
Is that what
What
those
they
other?
do is they do different colors typically, and that's typical in this area. You'll have a football field and a soccer field, and you'll have the traditional white lines will be football lines every 5 yards with hash marks. The soccer field will be a yellow or orange. I've not been a part of this process, but typically it's a yellow or orange over the same field,
Okay.
and it's commonplace anymore.
Okay.
I don't prefer it, but it's the best, cheapest. I think it's the best use of Salem's money.
Well, and that goes back, and I don't remember what meeting I said this a while back. You know, it's kind of a blessing and a curse. Salem has tons to offer. You know, for a smaller school, we have a lot of opportunities for kids to do a lot of different things in extracurricular activities. So I feel it's important when we spend our money, that money is spent towards the gain of as many student athletes or any extracurricular activities as possible. And I feel that does that with soccer, band, PE classes, football. I mean, there's a lot of baseball, soccer can get on this field and practice because they play on a lot of turf fields in soccer. And I know baseball does as well. So it gives them an opportunity to get a feel for that. So the usage rate is going to go up astronomically. I feel like this is putting money towards to help be beneficial, not necessarily help, but be beneficial for a lot of students. And Rodney will tell you, I was on the fence 50-50, but when I learned more about it and how much usage it was going to get and how much benefit it was going to be at this point and that point, you know, I was on board at that point,
And
especially
a
from
lot
the
of the
number.
usage is because we don't damage it by using it
Correct.
like we do our current
Or
field.
rain, you know, you can't
You
get
know,
on
when
it
it
if it's raining.
rains, you can still use it, and you're not going to be creating like football. A football field, you got linemen pushing against each other, digging into the ground. That creates divots that create ankle injuries. The soccer field is an injury trap waiting to happen. It's never been leveled. I don't talk about it, but I mean, it's.
How many
it's
ACL?
About 5 girls.
5 girls have torn their ACLs on the soccer field.
Yeah. Two other things is, and I'll stop, but Hank has been huge. One of the biggest things also in talking with Mark and Dr. Thurston was, this is going to be a nightmare for Hank because he's got to schedule all this stuff. But he's got to be of the understanding that everybody's going to get their time to use it, and he's 100% on board. He's 100%. This is the best direction for him. Our practice field, JD brought this up, JD's coached softball, same as I have, and baseball and football, but on a rainy day here in the fall, when our football team can't go down there, they go to the gym, and then other people can't use the gym, and then people's coming in at 8 o'clock at night. It's going to fix that. Our park and rec system, we have went and played Charlestown a lot lately because our field, we don't want to tear it up because it's already in bad shape. So we can hold that now. That's what Mitchell did for the PLAC. They're holding a lot of the park and rec games because now they have turf and they're not worried about it getting tore up, and they can play in rain. I could go on and on and on, but I think it's the best fiscal responsibility in maintenance on that field for the next 15 years. If we weren't putting that much money in it every year and still have the product we have, maybe not. But with what we're putting in it, it's got to be the best scenario.
Well, and I think too, in regards to the band being on it and having the invitationals come back, that is a huge moneymaker that they lost when we were unable to have invitationals here anymore. So those parents have been working concession stands and doing other things, trying to supplement for these long days and travel and other things that the band does. So for us to get that back would be a huge,
And I know
huge thing for them.
I know the new band director is. She's excited about being able to do that. I mean, she was going to try to start working towards that anyway, and this expedites that process a little bit more. You know, now the field's going to be in a much better situation.
We just need to make sure we have a strong elementary school with music and band. Well, not band, but music. Because we've invested heavily in a nice facility. We've talked about the band and the band competition, but it starts at the elementary school.
Bill, there's an audience
If we
for
weaken that
both.
program, we weaken the whole system in that
Yeah.
regard.
I believe for a long time, Bill, there's an audience for the arts and athletics in Salem. And we need to pay attention to both audiences, and we need to provide opportunities for the students and the community to enjoy and engage in both sectors of the arts and athletics.
I agree.
And I think it's a goal to get every student involved in some form of athletics or some form of arts or some form of extracurricular activity. I think it's going to create a better individual in our community. So I push that one.
And we just showed that with building the safe rooms and letting the band and choir teacher develop those. How they we'll be able to hold dinner plays in there now because they have a cooking facility in there as well. So that's we're 100% committed into the arts as much as we need that band playing. They're starting to play at the basketball games with the pep band and stuff, and that's we got to get back to that. Orleans does a great job of that. Hank, we've been speaking on your behalf about it. So
Okay.
I
apologize.
No, you're good.
I had a meeting with the press box there. And
you're good. We've been explaining to you might have.
You missed me picking on you, so I'm glad you did.
Okay.
Not really. No. They were very helpful in answering my questions.
Okay. Yeah, got to do what I can. You have a question for me?
I'm good now.
Okay.
I might say last night, the band was there after the game was playing, the girls' game. I don't know if anybody knew that, but she had the band kids still there. And what?
I don't know if I'm allowed to speak or not while this works, but the band's been tremendous. Up there at the pep band, they're upstairs, they're loud, and they've been at every game.
And it seems like the numbers have grown.
The numbers look like they're growing. Like the school song they've added a little more pep to it. I like that. But like I said, they're at the end of the game. They're still there. So it's growing and a lot more, I won't say festive, but it is more peppy in there. So they have done a tremendous job.
I like where they moved. I think it's great.
Yeah, that's why I always thought would be a great spot up there. And she came in, that's where she wanted to be. So it just worked out perfect.
Yeah, I'm just concerned, I guess my comment was, I'm just concerned that we're weakening the music program in the elementary school. We are. And that leads to fewer people that have interests, maybe in band and choir and whatever, to take advantage of what we now are better able to offer than in the past. So, that's all I'm going to say about that because I've got family involved, but I know enough about it to be able to say that we're doing things that weakens the program for music in elementary school.
I think the issue right now is just scheduling, so we're going to be a lot more creative with next year's schedule because all the specials need that equal time, and all of those students need to be seen on a weekly basis. So it's a matter of scheduling, and we're definitely going to focus on that. And I have already spoken with the elementary administrative staff and a couple of the teachers about also looking at high ability for our fine arts students because we have a lot of gifted students that need to be recognized in those ways too. Yeah. So not just academics, not just athletics, but the fine arts piece because that's an outlet for a lot of kids and it's their strength. And we do need to grow it at the elementary level.
I'm
Absolutely.
glad to hear that because I agree 100% with you. For years, and I'm biased, I've said this before, I've got a daughter that teaches music, and she loves what she does, she loves the kids. And if any of you have been over the years, until COVID hit, over the years to her programs that draw people, a lot of people from the community, parents and others, it's not just a bunch of kids standing up on stage singing. There's dramatics involved, there's theatrics, I guess is a better word. All of those things take time. If you're going to have a music program where the kids are standing and singing, I guess seeing them once every 6 days like they're doing now, maybe that'll work. But if you want to put on the type of program, the quality of program that we've had in the elementary school for years, that's not going to work. So I'm very glad to hear. See, this is a good meeting.
Yeah, I'm biased toward the arts too. So I don't know if you know my background, but I have a dance studio. And I actually, I hope I get to partner with some of the music programs and do some dancing with them. So yes, we definitely want to look at that schedule and make sure it's a viable schedule for those kids. Sometimes that's the only reason a lot of them come to school. They look forward to their special.
And Bill, I think all of us on the board really appreciate the arts, the music, whether it be a band or singing or whatever. I'm very biased towards it too because I was involved in it for many years when I went to high school, and it gave me something to look forward to rather than basketball or football. And, you know, I'm all in favor of anything that has to do with music.
Good. Yeah, I mean, it's all important. Children have different interests, you know.
Exactly.
So we, as a school, we need to try to do everything we can to give them the opportunity to learn and to grow in the areas that they have strong interests.
And it would really make me happy to see our music departments, whether it be band or in the elementary, you know, sort of to get more students involved.
And that's the thing. I think we've done a lot for a lot of different areas, but I think we've been fiscally responsible for it throughout. I mean, it looks like we've done a lot of things, but we've been pretty responsible about stretching those things out. And if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Everyone that sits at these tables, our main goal is to take care of all the kids and make sure that they're getting their needs met. And I wholeheartedly believe we're going that direction. And, you know, I believe we're on the verge of greatness in a lot of different things. I wholeheartedly believe that, and I wouldn't say that if I didn't believe it. So it may not seem like that some way. You know, we have a lot of naysayers. We have a lot of people that pick on Salem Community Schools. Well, keep on picking. That's all I got to say.
So with that, first I want to say thanks to Hank, because all that stuff I talked about is stuff that Hank's went out and done the work for and communicated to me. So he's done the work to get this done. So we appreciate him doing that, meeting with them, getting us a better price, accepting the responsibility of doing all, you know, the scheduling. I talked about how chaotic it's going to be for him, but
Good problem to have.
yeah,
Just like the gymnasium, we got the field
yeah,
house.
yeah.
That's, you can't go in there in the night and not find, unless it's a varsity game night, it'd be too chaotic, but the other 3 or 4 nights a week, it's packed.
Yeah.
It's packed. With our youth, our kids using it, different things, volleyball, basketball, we have other wrestling, we have some non-sports that will use it.
So with that, can I make the motion to?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll make the motion.
So Rodney Bruff makes the motion to accept the bid on the football field. Seconded by Allison Ezell. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0.
Okay. The past few years, there's been a lot of concern about the press box, the age of the press box, the stability of the press box, the safety of the press box, and when you replace your football field, it makes sense to, if your press box is in the condition that ours is and presents a potential hazard, then perhaps it's a prudent idea to replace the press box. And as with the football field, the school district sought and received quotes from 3 vendors to replace the press box with the football stadium at the same time. From the information that was provided, meetings with 3 vendors and school board members, as well as the director of athletics and central office administrators, there's a recommendation before the board to award a contract to the Dant Clayton Corporation for $481,000 to replace the press box. And I would add to that, that is a high side number. Would you agree with that, Mr. Whedon?
Yeah, I think we got down more.
Okay, so but in order, you know, we can't establish a price and go higher than that, but you certainly can establish a price and accept a lower quote afterwards. So I just wanted to
Well, we
clarify
had
that.
to do modifications to the press box last year or the year before. Was it last year or the year before?
Last year, we had to do the roof.
The roof.
And a foot went through it, so we had to fix that up. And then a couple years ago, we had to fix the steel beams that's holding it up. They had to come in and totally revamp that with patchwork, basically. It wasn't, you know, they didn't put new ones in, but they fixed it up. So we've fixed on it a lot the last few years.
So obviously the visual aspect of this is going to be great with doing the new field and everything, but this is more of a have-to safety concern more than anything. I mean, we have how many people up there at one time?
Very much so. And it was only one door, one way in, one way out,
And
which
it's-
was a fire hazard, right?
And ladder.
And a ladder, yeah.
That thing was terrifying.
We've had people fall, yeah.
How many people do you guys have up there at one time?
Probably
12 to
10
15?
10 on top, but sometimes.
Getting them off that roof would be the big thing. I always worry about somebody falling off in there. I mean, I think we do have a guardrail around it now, but used to not have anything around it.
Yeah.
So,
And plus, he can explain, so there will be room for JD for that class that's doing on our radio. We'll have room for them to do theirs, and then our scorekeeper.
So sitting under a tent?
Yes.
Or the bleachers.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're looking at room for the radio and visiting radio, ample room for our school board keepers and the PA. Like I said, right now they're in a small area, everybody right on top, so the radio, you can almost hear the radio sometime when they get excited when the PA is saying something. So they'll all have, and it'll be separate rooms, enclosed rooms. And then there'll be a dedicated room for our live stream, which is not going anywhere. I mean, live stream's here to stay for, and it's just going to grow.
Soon to be a requirement in certain aspects.
Huh?
Soon to be a requirement in certain
Yes,
aspects of
yeah,
the school.
so that's, and they'll have a little bit separate area from everybody else. Yeah, it'll be.
we come a long way until 1970.
What do you do with that?
I've been doing the timing for about 55 years.
I was freshman in high school in 1970,
Thank you.
Mr. O'Connor.
And I started out sitting on a flatbed truck in front of the scoreboard, the old scoreboard, with the controls there. Didn't have any cover for rain. I don't remember it raining really hard, so I was lucky on that. But we had a few nights of drizzle. But yeah, I did that. Not first year, 1970, I did a couple of games, and after that, I started doing about all of them. So. Anyway, yeah, probably an improvement.
Can I make the motion?
I would like to make them, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. If Becky make a motion, I'll second.
I've been wanting this for a long time. I'll make, yeah, long overdue. I'll make the motion.
I second.
Rebecca White makes the motion on the press box. Rodney Bruff seconds that. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0.
That's it.
That's it? What about the, okay. You're not talking about the chillers or anything?
Well, we're still taking quotes on the chillers.
Okay.
We're not pushed against the wall. You know, you're trying to establish a vendor and a process today in order to have a football field ready for next season. The issue with the chillers and HVAC equipment is that it can be anywhere from 20 to 25 weeks out, you know, after they order, because it's kind of like trying to buy a refrigerator. You know, you can't get it quickly. Right. So we have plenty of time to get quotes, and we have some good quotes, and to compare the quotes in order to make sure we're utilizing the funding most efficiently. And
So
that BSR money as well for the HVAC.
So we have some other things yet to come, but we're still getting bids on that.
Right.
The biggest point of the football field and press box is getting those contracts solidified so we can move forward as quickly as possible and be ready. So.
And they're saying that it'll be ready by football season, correct?
Yes.
That's super exciting.
What is the time frame?
They haven't got, they've got to meet with their construction crews and get that all scheduled. But when we talked to them, it sounded like late April, early May, at the earliest, if need be, or late May, if the weather holds up good. And then 2 months over the summer, basically. Is that kind of
Said 8 to 10 weeks.
Yeah. They said they would have it 1st of August, which would be a week or two before our first game. Weeks.
What's just out of curiosity, what's in the middle on the field?
He's got a picture of it.
Is
It's
it
a lion.
The lion.
No, the tiger.
Oh.
I'm sure we'll make that visible online at some point.
Hold it up. I'm going to try to
One side has an S and the other side.
Foot-
Yeah,
we
we
do
do
We
the
got a
lion.
couple options. The lion's what everybody.
The lion's going to be.
See, I'm serving a purpose.
You make a heck of an easel.
Good job.
And I'll just throw in there too, if anybody takes pictures of it or puts it online, sometimes it looks like it's black stripe and green stripe. They're just a different shade of green. When you take a picture, it doesn't, so don't flip out and think it's black stripes across the field. It's just a little, most fields you've seen are like that. Charlestown, Brownstown, Madison.
Are we doing like anything on the press box, kind of like how Madison has with the?
That does not include the press box. They don't do that. That's something I would do through athletics.
Okay.
Like yeah, you get companies, we got a couple of different vendors that make those cutouts, with logos or whatever you want. So, yeah.
Okay.
We're still looking at information about the playgrounds.
Yes.
Bids and all that.
We are.
I thought we were, but
We are. And
If nothing else, at this time I'd ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion made. Do you have a question or you?
no, I'm making a motion.
Ray Opal's making the motion to adjourn. Second by Steve Motsinger. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion to adjourn passes 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Suvak.